Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Infallible, Season 3, Episode 1. It's the third season, and this is going to be probably our best season yet. We've got some amazing topics lined up, and we're starting off with a banger to begin with because we're talking about racism today. It's the racism rematch, probably our most successful, unproblematic episode when that was a thing. So here we are again, and it's going to be just as spicy as our last episode. And I'm joined with my co host, Sona.
Hello, hello, hello.
And I'm joined with someone who hasn't been with us for a while now, but he's back and he was in racism too. EK.
Yeah, what's up?
Oh my god, you just got so loud. You were not that loud before I started recording. I'm gonna turn you
Okay.
down. What the hell
Alright.
just happened here? Wait, how do I adjust that? Oh no,
Uh,
I hate the new Discord update. It's like, okay, there we go. Wait, speak again?
yeah, yeah. Can you hear
Uh,
me?
yeah, no, that's way better. Thank you. Oh my god. You were like so loud all of a sudden. No, it made no sense. Anyway,
That actually happened with me like 5 minutes ago, but I thought it was something I did.
yeah, no, it wasn't like that when before I put Craig in. Now all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Alright, anyway. Today we're talking about racism. How you lot been? Before we get into this.
Yeah, we've been good. Yeah,
That's
we've been
good, that's
good.
good. So how you
Mm-hmm.
been?
Tired.
Oh, obviously. Philosophy is
Yeah.
getting the better of you.
Nah, man. Actually, philosophy's alright, but it's just
Economics is getting the better of
life is long, man.
you. Yeah, man, I can imagine it. I mean, when I was doing
Yeah.
psychology, it wasn't that bad, but now that I'm doing computer science, like, oh my days, it's fucked. It's so bad. It is actually like, especially the maths. The maths is horrible. I hate it.
Well, you got into it. You got into computer science. What do you expect? Do you know what I mean?
You know, I knew this was gonna happen. I absolutely knew it. That's why I'm gonna firm it for the year. But it is still extremely poor. Like, it's not even just the topic. Like, I can do maths, but the problem is the way they teach it, they just don't teach it at all. It's the
Well,
most
that's
annoying
why.
thing.
Yeah, that's why they asked that you do some maths at A level or something, right?
Yeah, but at that point, like,
Like,
why are you making me pay for your course if you're not gonna teach it? Like, come on.
that's because they're not meant to teach it. They're meant to teach other stuff. They're like, all right, well, you already know A level maths. That's good. Now we can jump off that. But if they're teaching you maths, then what's the point of calling it computer science?
No, I mean the way they describe it, they're like, "Oh no, this is a course for all skill groups, for all skill level." They literally started us off with what's it called? Solving really simple algebraic equations. Like they started really easy. It was really
Oh,
chill,
right,
and then
okay.
all of a sudden they started pulling out the next level, like Sokotoa, that proper hard. Oh my days!
You do SOHCAHTOA in computer science.
Actually, I don't know. I don't even remember what it was. It wasn't Sokotoa. It was like some complex matrix shit. I don't even remember what it was anymore. This is how
Uh,
you know I don't put much. I don't put much
it's
effort into
probably
it. I can't lie to you.
calculus.
I think they call it linear algebra. I think that's the name they give it.
Mm.
Linear
It's like
algebra. That's fairly simple compared
no, I
to.
mean it doesn't seem that way. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe
right.
I'm mixing it up. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. I don't know because I don't pay that much attention to it. So
Okay.
anyway, I'll pay attention when the exams are coming up. All right, that's when I'll put my foot down. But anyway,
Yeah.
the last time we recorded racism was on the 28th. The time we uploaded the episode was on the 28th of February, 2021. So it has been now it's 2024. So it's been 3 years almost, and we've
Yeah,
been
that's
doing this
great.
for that long. That's insane to me.
Mm.
So what I'm very curious about is I'm thinking that our opinions have probably changed quite a bit since a lot of our opinions have changed since then. So as we go through these topics, we can mention if our opinions has changed or not. But
Mm.
I think we'll start off with something that I think it's pretty simple to start off with, and we'll get a bit more deep as we go along. And I wanted to talk about race in the media because I think that's one that I think a lot of us can, it's not that controversial, right? So the
Okay.
first thing I wanted to ask you
Mhm.
lot is, do you think that media should involve itself when it comes to talking on race issues? Like, should it be in movies? Should footballers take the knee before games? Things like that. Or should they just entertain?
Man, we're starting off with a big one. Okay.
This is probably the least controversial of all of them, so that's how you know this
I
is
got
spicy.
Elijah. You start. You start.
Um. Oh my gosh, that is the way that's just on the spot here. Um. Yeah. So. Oh my god, I might even need some time because the thing is, like, so the question is, like, if it should be in the media.
Yeah, so like should they just entertain or should they actually comment on these issues?
Okay. So the thing is, like, I feel like yeah, in terms of like it being on the media, like sometimes you get in the case of that. Sometimes people, you see things in the media as a way to kind of like make people aware of what's going on.
Mm.
Like when it comes to like, um, of course, like racism and stuff. And then obviously, I don't know. Oh my gosh, this is on the spot. I might even need some time.
We
Yeah,
can come back to you if you want.
yeah. You can come back to me because obviously I need to kind of word
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine, that's fine.
Could couldn't someone argue that talking about race is entertaining for some people?
Well, the way I see it is that entertainment is sort of an escapism for people to get away from the world and, enjoy something, to try and get away from all this. And so when I see people, like footballers taking the knee and things like that, and movies putting social commentary in, a lot of the time it doesn't add anything, it just makes it worse. And
Mm.
I think that actively hurts the movement because yeah, it's entertaining for some people, but a lot of them, they're just there to watch football, they're just there to watch a film without being lectured. And so I feel like it actually does
So
the reverse of what they want it to do.
so you don't mean all media then? You just mean like
But this is very general, this is a general question, so
yeah,
interesting,
but
like,
like news stations, for example.
oh no, no, I
Would
don't mean news, no, 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 I mean like
no, but I mean
entertainment.
like no, but I mean like like sensationalist news that aims to like create division.
I mean things like that, they don't inherently have like they're not supposed to be controversial things. Well, that doesn't fully define it. But
Oh
like
right, okay.
where like these things are inserted into,
They're not
if
meant to
that
be
makes sense.
political. They're not meant to be
Yeah, yeah.
political.
Things like football are not meant to be political. Things like obviously movies, some of them are meant to be political, but there's a lot of movies that aren't meant to be political. Things like that. In the right
Alright,
place, yeah, that's fine.
um, I think you should. I don't think anyone should be forced to do anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess whoever owns the football league, right? Premier League, whoever owns them, like there must be like a board of directors. It,
Probably.
they get to decide whether we should do this, bend the knee sort of stuff, and then players get to decide if they want to do that or not, right?
Well, they do. They get a lot of like it's a very public thing, isn't it? It's a publicity thing. If they don't do it, it's a bit
Ah,
of a mark to them.
yeah. So
Mm.
So
like,
if you
yeah,
ask me,
that's
I think it should just not be at all an option. Like no politics whatsoever.
there's a lot of racism in football though. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing. But the thing is like the moment you open up even at the slightest bit of politics, like it causes like it can open up the door to like loads of questions that are hard to answer.
Well,
Is ZK okay?
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh,
Yeah, the sound
oh,
just went. It just went silent a bit.
Oh, right. Okay,
oh,
cool.
oh, you're not hearing us?
Yeah, like it just went silent like for like a few seconds. So I had to kind
Oh,
of.
Are
right.
you? Oh, wait, hang on.
Okay. Well,
Hello? Are we having technical difficulties?
No, I'm
what
fine. I'm fine
can
now.
you
I'm
hear me?
fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can
Everyone,
hear you.
that's
All
fine
right.
then.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, I get that the public flack that comes with not doing the knee thing, for example. I get
Yeah,
it, but also I strongly believe that you should be allowed to do it whether you want to do it or not. Same way,
Yeah.
like so there's a defensive midfielder that used to play for Everton. Yeah,
Mhm.
his name was his name ironically was Gay. But
Mm.
he did not want to wear the pride flag on his like captaincy thing,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
and I think technically he should be allowed to do that because he didn't agree with it. He didn't agree with the principles of homosexuality. I think he was a Muslim.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was like, my religion doesn't allow that sort of thing. Obviously, there was big news about it, but it went away after like 2 days. And then, yeah, so same way with that. I think you should be allowed to choose whether you want to,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I guess
go.
it's like an aspect of, is it important though? Is it something that really needs to be there?
I feel like I feel like it's one of them cases where if something's kind of happened recently, but then it's something that's been like ongoing before. There's like, for example, like there's been a certain something that's like been ongoing, but then it hasn't been like you know being exposed to the public or talked about that much, and then something significant or something happens which gets like major attention, where it's kind of like okay, now we have to kind of you know in a
Yeah.
way display something because it's just one of those things where sometimes if it's something that's been happening for so long and then it's come to a point which it's something another thing of the same thing had to happen for it to get a whole public attention, then I think that's where
Yeah.
the whole significance side of it comes from.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, when significant events happen, a lot of the time it is reflected. Like I remember when the Ukraine war was happening, like it was fresh. There was a lot of like in football as well, like there were people saying we'll stand together. And like I'm pretty sure before the game as well, like the Ukraine flag would come up and the players would like show solidarity and things like that right before the game. Like it was all there.
Hmm.
Like, but to me, like, A, that doesn't affect the event, the situation. And B, it just pisses people off more because that's not what they're there for. They're not there for political messaging. They're there to watch a game. And even with things like movies that don't, like, I'm gonna pick on Disney here because Disney does it a lot. Films like
Oh,
Disney that they don't need that kind of like stuff in it, unless the film
yeah.
is about those topics. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It's
But
just the director, putting their
give an
opinions out there.
example. Give an example where Disney does that.
I think Black Panther recently, that one was a big one. So Black
Well, the
Panther
second
2,
one.
yeah, but I think both of them, but the one I remember more is the second one. But it also happens in like um She-Hulk with the whole feminism that was going on in there. Like there was a massive amount
Wait,
of that in there.
but how though? How does Black Panther do it? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Black Panther, so basically in Black Panther 2, there's like a bunch of like how do you even describe it? Like in the costume design, they have like color codes for things. So like one of the directors was confirming that all of the villains are blue, and that's supposed to represent the police in the story. There's like a director saying this. And there's in for example,
Oh yeah, okay. Well, okay. The
there was
director
oh,
can
what
say
was that
whatever he
show called? This is how
wants.
you know my Marvel knowledge is
But the
lacking.
the
The one with
vibe of the
the
the vibe of the show wasn't like that though. The vibe of the film wasn't like that.
it's not about like obviously you have the film itself, but then you also have the political messaging that they shove in there, which can leave a
But
bad taste.
did you feel like you were getting messaged politically while watching Black Panther 2?
Yeah, I did. Like there's messaging in all sorts of films. When
I didn't feel
when
like
you
that at
don't
all.
need it
Mhm.
there. Sorry?
Yeah, I didn't really feel like there was a political message to me. It's like I just watched it for the
Yeah.
I
entertainment
mean,
part.
maybe I'm looking out for it, but like I've definitely felt that. And also in
Okay, so
the Captain who's the new Captain America now? I forgot his name. I
Oh,
haven't been
Sam
keeping up.
Bucky,
Yeah, even in that there was
Sam.
like a scene as well where he's like, "You need to do better, Senator," and there's like things like that. Like there's all sorts of messaging. There's like the
the
Wakanda
black
thing that was
the
going on. Like there's a lot to it. Like there's a huge amount. I could talk about it all day, but like it does happen quite a lot, and
I
Disney
don't know.
suffers for it as well.
well,
Yeah,
I'm not sure I agree with the examples you've given,
yeah,
but I understand what you're saying. There is a lot of political messaging in films right now, you know.
I don't want it to
So,
be. I don't want it to. Hang on. Do you mind if I rejoin? You guys just went really quiet. One sec.
yeah, yeah. So
We're just having
I think
technical. Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
First of all, I quite enjoyed Black Panther 2. I don't know why it was hated on so much. I think it was
Oh, I hated
because
the film.
what was his name again? The actor's name?
The more um
No. The
The
guy
one
who
who
plays the
died.
original Black Panther. I've forgotten his
oh
name.
Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick. Yeah,
Chadwick
Chadwick
Boseman, yeah.
Boseman. I think because he passed away, and so his like in movie sister gets the role. I think people were destined to hate it regardless,
No.
right?
The film was bad. The film was
No,
so
I don't think it
slow.
No,
was.
no.
It was
It wasn't
so
bad.
long and
It wasn't
dragged
bad.
out. It
It
Mm-mm.
was
wasn't as
so
good as the
bad.
first one. It wasn't
No,
as
it
good as
was
the first one.
how
Yeah,
long?
the
It was like
first one
two
was
hours
good.
plus. It was like 2 hours plus, and like the first half of the film, I was falling asleep, literally.
No, I don't think so, man. I
No.
think you're a bit people are a bit harsh on that. What I'd like to
Mm-mm.
say, by
No,
the way,
come on.
you
That
know
film was terrible. There's no way
what's
you guys
very
like that film.
ironic?
No.
What? So for me, yeah, you know what you're talking about. So you know, like an example in media is like when people get really riled up about race swapping,
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna
Mm-mm.
get into
Oh,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
So you know, everyone right now, everyone's moaning about Snow White coming out, and it's gonna have
Yeah.
like a
Oh my
Colombian
god.
actress. To me, I thought she was white, by the way, but I guess apparently she's not
Really?
Colombian. She looked
Oh,
white to me. Like if
yeah.
you just
Oh, the
showed me this
actress.
woman, and I was like, oh yeah, she looks white, but apparently she's not. She's Colombian. Um,
Yeah.
I think
so
with that.
to me, yeah, what's ironic about that? What's ironic about that is that you know how all conservative commentators will always the famous line is liberal snowflakes, right?
Yeah.
That
Mm-hmm.
how everyone gets offended over everything, and then they themselves have a meltdown when someone else comes into a role that they
Okay.
didn't want.
I
That's
think I
like,
think I
isn't that a bit
understand that.
snowflakey in my
Okay,
head?
here's
Like,
here's here's the here's the
Mm-hmm.
logic that I think a lot of them have. Is that when a black person, like I guess you call it blackwashing in that case, when they take a white character, it's not seen as nearly as much of an issue. So I think
yeah.
what they want is the same standard to be applied. If you're going to cause a big ruckus over a white person taking over a black role, then naturally, even if it's not right, you shouldn't cause ruckus in either of those cases. It really does not matter.
Well,
But
I think
if
it
you
does
cause that ruckus, you should in
if
the other one.
no, but I
Well,
think it does if your race and your culture affect the role that you're in.
You know, in two cases it
okay.
does apply. For me, there's two cases where there should be an issue.
Like
Neither of which,
you can never have a
yeah,
white person playing Rosa Parks. You can't
yeah,
have
that's
that,
what I was
can
gonna
you?
say.
Mm-mm.
So like,
Mm-mm.
So for Snow White, one of the like key character traits is literally skin as white as snow. That's
Yeah.
literally like
Mm-hmm.
one of the main things.
Yeah.
And the other case where you should keep it is for documentaries. So recently there
okay.
was a
Mm-hmm.
documentary called Cleopatra. I'm sure you
Oh,
guys have heard of
I
it.
knew he was gonna go on about that as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Okay,
In
yeah.
situations like that, you should keep the race. But for fictional characters, in other cases where race does not matter, even if it's
Yeah.
whitewashing or blackwashing, I don't think it matters at all.
Yeah.
I think it's completely irrelevant.
Even with Little Mermaid, like when the whole when the
Yeah,
trailer came out, to be honest, yeah, like because even me, like I know you guys might disagree with me, I didn't really see the issue. It's because yeah, like you said before, like the character, it wasn't like based on her race. Like I like her Snow White because obviously it was based on like her being white. With Little Mermaid, it was like her character wasn't based on race, and also another thing is it's a fictional character if that makes sense. It was
yeah,
fictional. It
Yeah.
wasn't like based on real life. Like even as you said that, I can understand because real documentaries about people of real life want a real portrayal.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I could see like, of course, why people like would be like, yeah, we want, of course, to match the real people. If that makes
Hmm.
sense.
I
But
genuinely think
okay,
if whitewashing that wasn't that big of an issue, then blackwashing wouldn't either. I think it's a reaction more than a genuine hate. Like that's
okay.
why I think they're just bouncing back.
There
If that
is
makes sense.
you know how like the conservative commentators you're mentioning say like they don't mind the blackwashing. It's just that it's like it's unfair how whitewashing is treated compared to blackwashing, right?
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
historically speaking, I'm not sure if EK will agree with me or not, but most films which have black people have always surrounded around uh the culture that they're part of with their race. For
I mean,
instance, Black
maybe. Yeah.
Panther, Black Panther is literally about an African nation, with its own
Mm-hmm.
culture and distinct values, and yeah, they're really technologically advanced, but they're distinctly African, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at the same time, when you watch things like I don't know, like Training Day. Have you watched Training Day? Right,
No, not yet,
right,
but I'm gonna watch it at some point.
right. So the police officer chills most of the time in the ghetto, and most of the ghettos in America are black, and so they have their very own distinct culture. It's very rare to see a white person acting. Well, there will be a few, but it's very rare to see a white person acting like a black person in those areas. So it's like there's probably a reason why race does play a role in those in those um in
I guess
those
it
movies.
depends on the character.
And I think the vast majority of movies which have black people have that trope than white people.
Yeah, I feel like in the history of cinema, yeah, there has been times where the portrayal of black people, when you see black characters in films, like Boys in the Hood, Menace to
Mm.
Society, Juice. Have you guys watched those films?
Yeah, well, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, like, yeah, in the history of cinema around back in those days, you get them times where if you see like a film where there's mainly like black actors or black characters, yeah, you do have them like placed in them kind of environment. And something in my course in film and TV, I think my first year when I was doing screen history, something that I kind of discovered as well, or something that I was kind of taught that yeah, in the history of cinema, when it comes to like you know having black characters, in movies around those times, um, the directors they mainly most of the time, you know, when they create those films, they have the vision of like portraying like depicting or having some sort of like accurate portrayal of how it normally is in order
Yeah.
to have a good narrative. So yeah, like you said, Suna, with the where you see more black actors more than white. Yeah, in the history of cinema, you can say that, and people would agree with what you said because when you do see films like that, you do see more black people in those kind of environment than you see with white people. You would probably, you know, if they were like in that area, you probably see other characters as well, where they're more like upper class, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
like
it's
so.
it's not just race, it's culture too, isn't it? That's what they're trying to
Yeah,
show.
yeah, 100%, 100. Like we know, you and me, Ibrahim, know, like Indian films.
Yeah.
So I'm Punjabi, and you're also Punjabi. You discovered, remember? Right? So our culture is basically very similar. The only difference is the religion, right?
Yeah.
Um, and like whenever we're watching films about like North India or Pakistan, it's it's obviously a very distinct way that people are acting compared to even when they're in Britain. So like I don't know, like Bend It Like Beckham, very famous one. Everyone
Yeah.
speaks
Mm-hmm.
Punjabi. Everyone speaks Punjabi, even but it's like a Londoner culture of Punjabi, and everyone's Indian. So it's like
Yeah.
race
Mm,
does kind of matter. You can't have a random white person start speaking, Punjabi like they're part of the family because it's like some people will argue, oh, it's racial appropriation. I don't care personally, but some people
Same.
would argue that. Yeah, like I actually find it quite endearing if someone wants to engage in my culture. If someone wants to speak
Yeah.
Punjabi, wear a sari, visit the Gurdwara, do all the things, try and learn Punjabi, I think that's brilliant. That's like, wow, you're so interested in my culture that you want to like be a part of it. I think that's brilliant in my head. It's not appropriation for me, at least.
I think that's mostly an American idea. I don't think the rest of the world really thinks that way. Like,
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
cultures are meant to be shared. They're not meant to be kept.
Yeah, they're beautiful, man. You can't
mhm.
be gatekeeping a culture. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's wrong.
Uh, anyway,
I
yeah.
guess
So I
the,
think,
the the reason they have that, I think they just get stuck up on stereotypes. That's why they just get really stuck up on that.
yeah.
So they're like, no, stereotypes offensive. But no, it's totally fine, honestly.
But generally speaking, when it comes to films, I think we mostly agree. I'd say, like, actually, I think we mostly agree. I just disagreed. Me and Elijah disagreed with the examples you gave,
I
Ibrahim.
could probably find better examples if I prepared them. I
Yeah.
did not prepare for this episode, but there are plenty, and like Disney's fall has definitely reflected that, I think.
Oh,
You're
100%.
right.
A hundred
Yeah,
Do
like
percent.
do
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think it's I think it just depends on the film, like what the director is trying to get across. Like Black Panther is made for that specific reason. Like it's a heavily black cultured film. That's like who it's made for. But there's a
I
lot of
don't agree
films
with
that
the
don't need that,
I
and they
don't
have
agree
it
with the
anyway.
term black culture, by the way. I don't agree with that term.
Whoa, what? I'm
Hmm?
gonna write
I
that
don't
down.
agree with the term. I don't think black people have a culture that unites all black people.
Oh no, definitely not. But there's a certain culture that a lot of black people are into. Obviously, no one applies to every culture. There's always
Yeah,
Okay, so
outliers and
I think
exceptions.
with black people we have, of course there's one here, one here, one here, one here. So I get what you mean, because obviously like even yeah, like you know, different
because there's an
areas,
African there's an
environment.
African yeah, there's an African American culture where a lot of black
Mm-hmm.
people recognize each other as having been like historical victims of like slavery, for example.
Man,
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, even me to be honest, yeah, like man, I remember I think there was a time I was talking with this to someone, yeah, and they said that with British American, no, British Africans, yeah, Africans who are also British, yeah, we have a
yeah,
more closer connections to our African culture than African Americans do.
Oh
yeah.
no, yeah, yeah, true.
I've
Literally.
African
always wondered
Americans are
why that
very
happens.
much.
I've always
Sorry?
wondered why that is. Like, I see a lot of Nigerians here that know like so many Nigerian tropes, but I don't see
Mm-hmm.
whenever I'm watching. Well, I haven't obviously experienced America, but whenever I'm watching Nigerian African Americans, they never know as much about Nigeria than the British ones do.
I
No.
feel like they're less African and more American. That's why. They just
Yeah,
like they have
probably,
that more
maybe.
American like when you grow up in that sort of area, a lot of them there also have like that very much like there's that against police thing. Obviously, you have situations like
Yeah, yeah,
George
yeah.
Floyd, that was a long time ago. Things like that that reinforce those ideas, and BLM is very massive over there. Things like that
Yeah.
Yeah.
really create that sort of
Like if
culture, but we don't have that here. So it's
yeah.
less.
Like even as well,
Yeah.
do you know who Michael Blackson is?
No.
Michael Blackson?
Michael
What the
Blackson.
hell?
Okay, he's a comedian, yeah. He's also African American. Yeah, this guy so obviously like yeah, obviously he's African American, but you see he's also a comedian. Now get this, yeah, he when he speaks normally, he speaks like a normal American, but then when he comes to his comedian, he has to put on a fake accent.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
He
I
puts
hate
on
Like
stuff
an
like
the
that.
alter ego. He puts on an alter ego.
yeah, so obviously it's one of those things where it's like with the whole black culture, everyone sometimes there's this whole switch up. And sometimes
Hmm.
it's like the switch up is for just because of who you are, but then sometimes the switch up is just for other entertainment purposes, if that makes sense.
Nah, I get that,
There
I
is
get
a.
that.
You're right. There is a switch up, and like I can do that. So I'm very much British, right?
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
guys know me as being very British. I'm
Yeah.
Which one?
probably more. I'm probably more white on the inside than Richard is. I can't even lie to you.
Same, bro.
But
We're both Maltesers, bro. We're both Maltesers.
yeah, but at the same time, I can switch it up like 100 and like start speaking proper Punjabi and like start engaging in like Indian.
Yeah.
So I can switch it. There's two different sides to me. That will only ever come out around family. You will never ever see that sauna. So yeah, basically,
Yeah,
there
those are
is
Mm.
a
just
difference.
different versions
Yeah,
of us, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But that's interesting. I definitely think the cultures do exist, but like not everyone aligns with all the cultures. Like there's another thing, like in America there's a huge like thing about blackface, right? And
Hmm.
like I'm not saying that it doesn't exist in other Western countries, but like
Yeah, yeah.
if you
The
even if you
Dutch do it a
just
lot.
paint your face black, like even if you're not even saying anything about black people, just painting your face, huge issue in America. Whereas over here and in other countries, it's not that bad.
No, I think it would be. I think it would be a bit of an
Yeah,
issue.
I
And I
think
think
I think in here like there's been times here where people have whether even just the darkening of skin has been I think maybe because obviously in the media it depends on what where in the media you see it because sometimes you see in this part of media that part of media it just
yeah.
Yeah.
depends really.
I wouldn't like it if someone got turmeric and rubbed their face on it and tried making it out like they're Indian or something. That
I
would like
wouldn't
rub
really
me the
care.
wrong way. Well, I know it wouldn't.
If they're
It wouldn't
making fun
affect your
of you
life.
or something,
It wouldn't affect my life. You're right. It wouldn't affect, but it would irk me the wrong way. Like that's a really out of order thing to do. Do you know what I
I
mean?
don't know. I don't
Yeah, I
know about
think
that.
blackface
You're
is just
basically
wrong.
saying, you're basically, you're making it out like your white skin is the canvas to put other colors on, and that's like
Yeah, why not?
outrageous to me. That's
Nah,
Why
outrageous.
not?
blackface is
What's wrong
just
with
wrong.
coloring your face a different color?
Like
What's wrong with it?
to
Nah,
me
man.
personally, I know you guys would disagree with me, but I just think blackface is just wrong. Like I don't see.
Where's a There's a
I
lot of
think it's
Dutch
wrong
people that do it.
if
A
you
lot
make
of
fun of
Dutch
black
people
people.
do it.
Yeah, pardon.
Yeah,
A
Say
it's
lot
like
again.
of
Sorry.
a lot of
it's like
Dutch people do blackface. They're still they're trying to protect it, I think, constitutionally,
yeah,
because
yeah,
there's like a parade that happens where they do like a do like where everyone dresses up like a black chimney sweeper or something, and they're white
yeah.
and
So
they uh,
it has nothing to do with black people. It's just soot on your face. Like what
well,
would happen if you cleaned a chimney?
yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think he might have been black too, but also has soot on his face. I don't know 100%.
I think it's mostly
But
about the soot because like the chimney sweeping, that's what it is. But like
yeah, so
if they're
that's
just
a big
coloring their face,
celebration, and
if
obviously
they're
he's been
just coloring their
criticized.
face,
You
like
know.
there's nothing about that. I can't lie.
Yeah, I guess so. It gets into like messy like water because can you say like, oh, you can never get face paint in case you
Exactly.
accidentally in case you
Yeah.
accidentally offend the wrong, like, you know, you can never put yellow on your skin because Chinese people exist, you know what I mean? So
That's why I'm like intentions matter a lot with that
I
stuff.
will say there is one word that I think is, to me, it's wrong, even though a lot of people don't think of it as wrong,
Okay.
and that is when people say person of color.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
wait, person of color. Wait, you don't think
That's
it's
we're
wrong?
all persons of
I think
color.
that is wrong.
Oh, you. Then like,
I think it is wrong because there's two problems with it for me. In my head, there's two problems.
Who
mm,
First
isn't a
of all,
person of color?
yeah, are you saying white people are uniquely not melanous in any way? Like, that's not true. You guys have like, yeah, white people aren't really white. They have like shades of pink and
Yeah, they're
shades of
pink, yeah.
cream. And the
yeah,
only really white people are like when you go into the Middle East and you see some like Syrian people and they're like paper white.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's proper white. White people that we think of, like Western white people, they're not proper white. They have like some pinks mixed in and stuff.
Yeah,
Second of all,
yeah, yeah.
when they say people of color, what people are doing unintentionally, by the way, because I think they're trying to be respectful, obviously, but they're doing it unintentionally, and that is that they're drawing a boundary between white people and every other race in the world.
Yeah, no, that always
mm,
happens. That's a very
They're
common thing now.
basically making it out like we've got white people on this side, this unique race, and then we've got everyone else on the other side, and we call everyone else people of color. Like they
people
just
of
like,
color.
and that's just wrong in my head, you know?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like white people, in terms of this kind of discussion, get ostracized quite a bit because of that. Because they're seen as historically the oppressors, the bad
Nah,
guys,
man. White
the
people
ones
aren't
we
the
go
only
against.
oppressors in
Just
history. Come on.
basically,
Of course
The
not,
yeah,
they're not, but
Mongols,
that's what they're
the
seen
Mongols
as.
oppressed. The Arabs
yeah. Things
oppressed a
just
lot,
basically
bro.
Yeah,
Like
history.
so,
yeah, it's
Yeah,
incorrect. Obviously, they're
yeah.
not the only oppressors, but that's what, in the modern day, that's what they're seen as compared to everyone else.
Well, you
Even though
know,
that's not the case at all.
yeah, you're right. You're right. 100%. Yeah.
Well, we spent a long time on this topic. There's
Yeah,
still
yeah. Let's
another
move on.
question.
Yeah,
So,
let's move on. Let's move on.
we've talked about whitewashing and blackwashing. So, the last part about this film section was diversity quotas. So, do you believe that there should be a diversity quota when it comes to movies? And we can get into like actual jobs and stuff later. But in terms of films, do you think that there should be representation? Like the big word is representation here.
No,
Do you think that's important?
no.
Same.
Elijah, what about you? Ah, he's mute right now. All right.
Oh, shit. Well,
The
I'll bring up
reason
a point.
why,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you
yeah,
can
yeah,
do it.
okay. Because for me, like a movie is an art thing, right? And
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
trying to portray a very specific thing. It wouldn't make sense to always have every representative of every culture and race in a film. It would just muddle the
Yeah, yeah.
film, right? So, like,
mm,
yeah. What do you think, Elijah? Go on, tell me.
yeah. Okay. I don't know if you saw you. My sound went off again, so I had to
Yeah, no, sorry.
off and join. But yeah. So what was the question, so that I can just answer again?
Race quotas in films, like they have to like reach a certain number of
Do you think there
diversity
should be representation in films? Like, should there be enough black representation, Asian
enough
representation?
women, enough
Yeah,
women.
women, gay, things like that. Should that be a requirement, or like,
To
do
be
you care
to,
about it, or
to be honest, yeah, like I feel like there's been times in films where like okay, I'll give an example, yeah. There was this film that wait, there was this film.
Yep.
He's trying to find it. He's trying to find it. I think he's
All
trying
right,
to
yeah.
find it. Uh, yeah, I agree. I agree with you that it's not right to like make racial quotas. You're forcing
Yeah.
diversity in a
Yeah,
weird way.
yeah, I
In
It's
the
think
like,
in the meantime, should I give my point while EK finds his film?
oh, Elijah, we found it.
okay.
Oh, you
So
found it. All right.
I don't know the film. I don't know what it's called, but it's one with Dams and Idris here, where you know I was where his representation of the character that he plays is actually different, a lot different to the normal representation of like how black people are portrayed. So if you were to use that example, I'd say that obviously I don't think it has to be mandatory. I don't know because in a way you could say no because like everyone free will should do whatever they want. Sometimes the director can have a different vision, but then it's like because because a lot of people are so used to seeing this normal representation. It's like if you then switch it up, is that there will need to be like a swift way to do it. Because if you like switch it up in a way of like that, then when the audience watches, it's like, wait a minute, hold on, what's going on here? You know what I mean? But then, here's another example. Yeah, Boondocks, Uncle
Yeah.
Ruckus,
Oh yeah.
Uncle Ruckus. Yeah, this guy. Oh my gosh, this
Uncle
guy.
Ruckus is
Yeah,
funny though. I can't lie to you.
there was a whole episode where it talked about the way he was brought up. Yeah, and the way he was brought up explained the way he is. This guy really, this guy. Yeah, I remember there was an episode where I think he was what's it called? There was an episode where I think he was meant to lawn someone's how do you call it when you cut off the grass?
Lawn mowing.
Yeah, he was meant to do that for George. So George called him, of course George is black as well. He's like, oh yeah, why you not coming here? The yard looks like a jungle. And of course Uncle Ruckus, yeah, he was like, well, Kim, you feel fine, so you guys can feel right at home. And I was like, okay, yeah, the way they made this character, yeah, must
Oh
be
no.
based on his upbringing. So of course with that, it's like, you know, it's like, how do I explain it? It's that of course it would shock the audience would be like, oh wait a minute, why make the character like this? But then it's like at the same time, they had like a reasoning for that.
Yeah, that's part of his character, so it makes sense he's
Yeah.
like that.
So yeah,
The
to
point.
answer yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
No, no, you can keep going. You can keep going.
Yeah, so to answer that question, um it's kind of mixed because it's like because obviously, sometimes, people don't care, but then it's like, sometimes, you know, when you make a film or when you watch films, people might have something different. So it may
Yeah.
not be like, oh, you have to do it, or your film's gonna fail because everyone just has different representations. So, you can argue that in the case more of just a free will kind of thing. Sometimes it may not be like a actual proper requirement.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
that's good. The
Yeah, I
the thing
think
I
we
was gonna
agree.
say was there's a big thing that people often say is that they need a lot of representation for people to have role models growing up. And I've never understood this idea because I don't understand why people need characters to look like them in order to feel represented and in order to feel like they have someone to look up to. When I was growing up, one of my big role models was Iron Man, and he's a white man, right? I'm brown.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look like him at all, but I still found him as a role model because he was smart, he was funny, he was clever, he learned from his mistakes, things like that. I didn't need the character to look like me in order to feel, some like as him as a role model. I didn't need to like have him be brown for me to look up to him. Things like that. It's not a necessity, but for some reason, it feels like nowadays there's been like this development where the character has to look like you, and there has to be this much diversity in media. Otherwise, it's like we can't have them be like our role models, and it's never made sense to me. We need a black hero, we need an Asian hero, we need a gay hero. No, you don't. Just look up to the character you like. It doesn't matter what like qualities they have, unless it directly impacts the story, which most of the time it doesn't. So I just hate that idea. That's why I don't think diversity is an important thing when it comes to things like
Well,
that.
I think I disagree a little bit with you there.
Yeah.
I do think sometimes some people do need to see themselves in an actor to uh to like see themselves represented by them,
I
Yeah.
feel
right?
like that teaches the wrong
Mm-hmm.
lessons though. Like it shouldn't be your outside, it should be your inside that's important.
Yeah,
I
but there's
know,
no
but
sense you.
if that's the case, then we don't need any black people and Asian people in films. Just let white people do everything.
Mm-hmm.
No, not necessarily.
Why?
Well, if it, again, like I said, if it fits the story or if they just want that character to look that way, then it's fine. My issue is when they shoehorn in issues like that when it's not necessary. There's plenty of characters of like different colors and races, and it works just fine because they're supposed to be there. Like you can have that healthy balance.
I
Plus,
don't
I
think
think
so. I
white
don't
people
think.
fall under that same umbrella as well. Like, because I consider white people in all the races to be the exact same. So it's not like
No,
white
I don't think.
specifically need to.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't agree with that either. Because the default race for every single film has always been white. It's always been white.
Mm-hmm.
Most
Yeah.
actors
What?
are white. Most actors are. When you think of an actor in your
Okay.
head, you think of a white person. You should know.
Okay. Well, okay, that's in
Yeah.
Hollywood, yeah. But there's that Hollywood is not the
Why?
only place movies are being made.
Hollywood's the most like it's the most well known, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, well, that doesn't have anything to do with it, though.
That
Like,
doesn't
as
have
in, it
anything
doesn't
to
have
do with
anything to
it.
do with the race issues, though.
Okay, man. Okay.
That's just the most popular one.
What I'm saying is like you can't even if you if every single time you think of a profession, you think of a white person, there's a problem.
You don't see these
Clearly,
diversity quotas in Korean movies. You don't see that in Bollywood. You don't see that.
because
You see the
it's
specific
Korea.
race there.
It's Korea. There's a
Yeah.
they're much less diverse than these countries.
Exactly. Same with Bollywood. Like, it's just how it is. That's
Yeah,
just,
they're
it
much less
doesn't have a
diverse.
race
Yeah.
impact.
No, but
St-
India is so big. You have different cultures and different films and different languages, right?
yeah, but it's
Everyone
still,
might
it's
be
still
united
Indians,
as
isn't it?
Indian. Everyone might be united as Indian, yeah, but it's not just Punjabi films. It's not just that. It's representative of like all the areas of India, right?
Yeah, so no one would
Uh,
sit there and argue, okay, well, I'm black and none of these characters are black, therefore these films, I can't relate to them in any way. Like, then no one
well,
would argue that.
no one says I can't relate to them in any way. What I'm saying is, if you want to, sometimes people need to be able to see themselves physically in a character to be able to recognize themselves in them. Do
But
you know what I
why
mean?
though?
That's just the way some people think.
Yeah.
That's
Why?
wrong in my
What do you
opinion. That should
mean?
be
Why though?
corrected.
Why do people believe in God? Because they're idiots. Now what? Some people just think like that. What do you want me to
Yeah, well,
say?
they're idiots too then. What the hell?
Well, I'm not an
You used to
idiot.
be
You
one,
should
so
just
don't
accept that. You
remember.
should you should correct that behavior. Like that's not a correct idea to have.
No, you shouldn't. That sounds a mildly,
Obviously, obviously, I'm not
dictatorship.
saying like,
Like
oh, you should change
you
that.
should
Like, obviously,
correct
people are
that
entitled.
behavior.
You should be entitled to your opinion, but like, still, like, what the hell? That's a bit of a, oh, the looks have to
What
be
I'm saying
there.
is, your view encourages more filmmakers to have no reason to have diversity in their films at all. Basically, what you're saying is the only types of films there'd ever be is white films which describe everyday scenarios, and then every other film which is distinctly unique to their culture. You'll never have a film about black actors that are trying to get a mission done to the moon for NASA.
No, and what I'm saying is that race is irrelevant. If they want to use black actors for
But it
that, if they
always
want to use
is
Asian
though.
actors for that,
It,
Mhm.
no, I don't think so. I don't
why is
think
it?
so.
Why
The
is it
default,
specifically
the
white people
default
that
actor.
if this happens, it has to be white people in particular?
No,
Default.
It's just
because
because the way.
the default film is always white people. It
Yeah.
is. What do you want me to
Mhm.
say? That's you're gonna reject the reality of the way it is. Like
So,
I'm
that's
talking about in this country. I'm talking about in this country and America because America influences us the most. The default movie, you go to a film, it's going to be 95% actor, even if it has nothing to do with race at all. At all, it's going to be 95% white actors.
But if there were more black actors in the area, then it would be more black, wouldn't it? It's the fact that there's more white. That's what you said earlier, wasn't
Yeah, and when it is, guess what? It's always about. What's that film always about?
What, the ones where there's more white people in it?
No, when the ones where there's more black people in it. Why is it? What's it always about? It's always about the fact
Okay,
that they're black.
the culture. That's
Yeah,
with the director. That's
so
to
I'm
do with the
saying
director.
no, not always the director. It's because of the way we're primed to think. It's the way we've been primed. We've gotten used to this standard for a while now. Like it'd be weird to us to see like an example, an entire black cast that's trying to get a rocket to the moon for NASA. It's weird to us in our head.
There's
Why is
nothing
it weird?
inherently wrong with it in
It's nothing
particular. So
inherently wrong, and yet
so
you
it could
think
be
that it's a
made.
bit weird, don't you? It's a bit
No, I
weird.
don't think it's weird. I think that's just
Yeah, it
a an
is. It
idea
is.
that's
You know it
from
is. You know
proportion
it
that
is.
needs to be changed. No, it's not weird because I don't
It
see race in
is. It
like the
is.
actors. When you're an
No, you
actor, your
do,
job is to
man.
act
You
a
do.
character.
That's a
That's what
lie.
when
When someone says they don't see race, that's a lie, man.
no,
Come on.
no.
It is.
When you're an actor, your job is to act and pretend to be someone else that you're not. That's literally your job as an actor. So I don't see their features as like a specific, unless it's relevant to the story, which in black culture movies, yeah, it is. But when it's
But
not relevant, then it doesn't matter to me.
every single film that's not white is always about that culture that they're part of. Do you
Well,
not
not
see that as
not
an issue?
not every single film.
Name one that isn't like that.
You know, I haven't watched many films, but I know almost certainly there's not a chance that there's
So
every single film.
maybe there's a swan out there that isn't white. Okay, thanks.
Was actually, I'm trying to think now. Thing is, my movie knowledge is lacking. I've watched them, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. But anyway, like it's just even when it comes to most films, like races. Obviously, what we're talking about, we're focusing on it here. But races are usually like the like least relevant part of a film. It's more to do with the story. It's more to do with the cast. So this isn't as big of an issue anyway. So like I feel like with that in mind, being able to just say, okay, we have these actors in the vicinity. Okay, let's just put these characters in. It doesn't matter. We don't need to have this diversity quota. It's not relevant. Let's just try and tell a good story. I don't think it's that big of a deal at all. Like I just don't see it. But I guess
But I
that's just a
think
difference in opinion.
okay, fine, yeah.
I think we might have to do a part two because we're 48 minutes in and we've only done
Let's just
one
move on.
topic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
let's
move
move on.
on.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
All right, cool. So we're probably not going to get through all of these. So we'll go through the next. We'll go through some of the bigger ones then. Let's talk about slurs. So
Okay.
there's a few parts to this, but I think we'll start with Paki as a slur. So I'm Pakistani. I'm allowed to say it. I'm just arbitrarily allowed. My blood's there. I'm allowed to say it. Just that's just how it is. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
personally see it as a slur, and here's my reasoning for that. And then you guys can tell me if you disagree or not. The reason I don't
Right.
see Paki, and there's a lot of slurs that I invented. The reason I don't see them as slurs, even though others see them, is because it's not at all necessary to have them. Paki originally, like about 10 years ago, was seen as the short for Pakistani, right? That's how it was. But after like COVID and in this era, it was all of a sudden changed to the meaning was a slur. And you might be like, well, no, the history it was used like this. For me, I don't care what the history was. I care about now. What's the benefits to having it as a slur? There is none. We give the racists more ammo. That's it. Wow, wonderful. I love doing that. There is absolutely no benefit. The only reason that people want it to be a slur And this is a bit controversial, but the only reason people want it is because they want something to complain about. Because the black people have their N word. They want that word of their own that only they can say because they want to feel part of an exclusive club. That's why I don't see Paki as a slur at all. It has no benefit to anyone. And the history doesn't matter. We should be basing our decisions off of now rather than back then because cultures have changed. So that's why I don't see it as a slur. Do you not agree or disagree with that?
Mm.
I think you and I notoriously disagree on this.
This is exactly, I've been saving it for this because I want to solve this issue.
Um, you seem to think history doesn't matter at all.
No, 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 no. I don't think history doesn't matter at all. What I think is we should remember history so we don't repeat it, but we shouldn't make our decisions like based off of as if we were living in those times because we're not living in those times anymore.
But no, not that we're living in those times, but being mindful of the history of it.
Yeah, you can be mindful, but that doesn't mean like
So
we should just be
you are
hung up on it.
you are changing your decisions based on the history of it.
What do you mean?
You said we look at history so it doesn't affect our future, right? We don't want to make the same mistakes again.
Yeah.
So the past is affecting our decisions.
Yeah, well, we don't have things like Pecky bashing anymore, like where people come in and like they kill like we don't have that anymore. And we
No,
should
but
remember so that kind of thing doesn't happen again.
so it
But
does
that doesn't
affect
mean
our
that the
decisions.
word itself, like, because language evolves and it should continue
No,
to
but what I'm
evolve
saying
like that.
is, yeah, of course it's continuing to evolve naturally. What I'm saying
Yeah.
is, you're basically forcing this word into open use again when it's very recent that things like that happened, right?
Okay, no. Before, Paki was not a
Race was very
slur
good.
like 10 years ago. Paki was not a slur 10 years ago. Or if it was, many people weren't aware of it. Like, you can ask a lot of
That's
people, they weren't even
because
aware that it was a slur.
okay, well that's because it it hadn't been recognized like in the country of how much the people had suffered because of that word, right?
No, it was
Not
because
entirely because of that word, but because of the
the
way
word has
people used it.
changed.
Huh?
No, it's because the word has changed. Like, they used to use Paki as a slur back then. It was considered a slur. The reason it wasn't anymore is because the word changed its use and people stopped using it like that. So by making it a slur again, they just gave the racists more ammo again.
I think it's always been a slur though. It
It's
has.
always been a slur, but like the word has evolved. So it was, I don't think it was nearly as impactful as well. Like, obviously, you can use any word as an insult or as a slur if you really wanted to. It's the intention. But that word in particular wasn't turned into like it wasn't turned into like the N word of uh Pakistani people. Like that's not what it became. But it became that because people started pushing for it in the 2020 onward period, which I think is just wrong. Like if you can call a Scottish man a Scot or an English man a Brit, a British man a Brit, you should be able to call a Pakistani man a Paki, and not look at the history and say, "Oh wow, this happened 60 years ago, therefore we must continue this. We must push it." I think that's where
Well,
you and I disagree, Sona, because I'm thinking about the current, like future events, and you're thinking about the past and like keeping that alive in a
well,
sense.
there are still some generations that are alive from that period.
Yeah, but we should. At what point do we start moving on? At what point do we say, okay, now we need to think about the
That
current
happens
time?
naturally. That happens naturally. It's
Mm.
not something you could just say, right, this is now when we should think about. When people realize that it's not relevant anymore, it will occur by itself. It's not something someone just declares and then it
No, but
happens.
Yeah.
It's
we're currently in a phase where we're unnaturally keeping that
a
there.
natural process. Ibrahim, do you believe in evolution? Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully you do, because you're an intelligent guy, right?
thank you.
At
Of course
what
I do. Yeah.
point can you? At what point can you say that a human started and they're
But you can't.
well, we're still apes? Or what point you can't? Can you?
You
You
can't know.
can't. It's gradual, right? You can't declare at one moment this is the way it is now. It's a gradient. It's unclear. It happens by itself. That's the same thing with the language that I feel, right? When people recognize, I'm sure there were slurs going around during the Roman times, right?
Yeah.
Right? But we don't recognize those words as slurs anymore because so much has changed since then. So many people have changed their mindset. We naturally grew out of it. We grew out of that. right?
The thing is, if you want things to change, you can influence it. Like, if we take a group that's been really, really hit hard, the Jews, right? There are plenty
Yeah,
of slurs used against the Jews by the Nazis, but we don't
yeah.
hear them as much anymore because they let it die out in history. They didn't try to reclaim a word from the past.
No,
They
it's
just
it's
let
because
it die.
we're Asian. We don't hear it much, but white people know a lot of slurs for Jewish people.
Yeah, I mean the slurs exist, yeah, but they don't. We don't hear them as much, like being used against Jewish people,
Why?
because they've been
Why?
because the Jewish people didn't like reclaim those words. They didn't. They just
No,
let them die.
it's because we recognize them as slurs. That's why they're not used.
No, no,
Mm-hmm.
no. Even
And
things like
why is that?
even things like
Why is
pecky.
the why is the N word not used by white people? Tell me.
You think it's not used by white people
No, what I'm saying is generally, why is it not acceptable to be used by white people?
because you get flayed if you use it.
Well, yeah, because it's recognized as a slur, right?
Okay, so what's better then?
Mm-hmm.
People using the word as ammo against
Mm,
black people,
mm.
or actually, we'll take Paki as the example because it's easier. Or people using the word and it just doesn't have a slur meaning at all, so that there is no chance of anyone getting offended by it. It's just the short for Pakistani now. That's just how it is. Obviously,
No,
you have cases where
what is
people are going to
better?
intentionally use it.
What is better is
Yeah.
that it stays a slur at the beginning, whilst it's still fresh in people's head, and then it goes
It's
away
not
gradually
fresh though.
as
I'm
they
sorry,
grow.
it's just not fresh in people's head
Well, it's
anymore.
not
I'm
fresh for
sorry.
you, bro, but you've only been around for 18 years.
Bro, come on. At this point, it's not fresh for the large majority of people. Yeah, there's a few people
Yeah,
who are still
Ibrahim
around from
speaks
those
for all
times.
Pakistanis, guys. Come on.
Come on, you know for the large majority of people, even the people pushing it as a slur, a lot of them haven't been around for that time.
Well, yeah, you're
Well,
right. But what I'm saying is, when you want people to grow out of it, you can't declare that people will grow out of it. You gotta
I'm
yeah.
let
not
people
declaring anything. I'm
gradually
not
get over
declaring
it.
that they
Mm-hmm.
should. I'm saying that it's not healthy to continuously dredge up those
Perhaps,
old times and
perhaps
continuously
you're right.
give ammo to racists.
Perhaps you're right. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, absolutely. I
Well,
agree that you shouldn't make it like legally binding, for example, that someone has to say this based on race, because that's racist. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
of course.
like, Elijah will disagree with me, but I think anyone should technically be allowed to say the N word. But
Okay. Do you want to
I think
say
nobody.
yeah,
you want to
go
say
on,
my
Elijah.
one for the N word? Okay, right. So obviously, the N word in the beginning, the original context, it was used as an insult towards black people, a slur, and so that's one part, yeah. And I know that, yeah, there's the other part where black people now, there's some black people, a lot of black people, they use the N word in the interpretation to say, yeah, what's up, my nigga, what's up, all of that in it. Now,
Yeah.
what's it called? So I want to make this straight. First and foremost, yeah, no other race should be saying it. No one should be saying it at all. Now I know that yes, um, because obviously, people there were questions saying, oh, but if it was a slur, why are you saying it? Why are you saying it? But here's the thing, me personally, I just because obviously, I know that come to terms that yeah, there's black people who what's it called say it as a way to refer to someone else. You guys probably know it's being used to refer to someone else. But yeah, me personally, even because of the fact they were started off as a slur, no one should be saying it. But if it was in the case that yeah, that a race would be saying it, then yeah, of course, black people, will say like, yeah, because, referencing us, then, it's only fair that we say it, but then no other race should say it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sona, why
yeah.
do you think everyone should say it?
Not everyone should say it. I think everyone should be free to say it.
I
Yeah, I think that's
disagree.
where we disagree. That's where
I
the me and
disagree.
you have our issue.
Well,
I
you
Because
either
disagree.
agree
I
with
think nobody, you think everyone.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean, right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Either everyone be allowed to say it, and no one says it, Right? No one gets a free pass. You're right. Yeah. That's what I mean to say.
Yeah, even the whole free pass thing is done. Is it doesn't exist. The whole. You know the thing is, yeah. Even there was a time like I was saying that, oh yeah, people have been giving people free passes to say the N word. Even like I know people would say, for example, in Rush Hour, the first one, you know, Jackie Chan, he even said it fully twice. He said, "What's up, my nigga?" And I know people would say, and I know people say, yeah, it's Jackie Chan. He's fine to say it, or even
Nah.
Eminem, you know,
Yeah, he's
because
Nah.
fine to
he's
say it.
you
No,
know,
no, no. Jackie Chan's fine to say it because China doesn't have a history of enslaving black people. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, that's where my issue is.
they
Like, what
don't
the
they don't
hell?
owe black people anything, man. They don't owe black
Nobody
people
owes
anything.
black people anything. I'm sorry, right? Nobody
Well, the
does.
argument could be made for America and Britain, whatever, to
Nobody
pay.
owes
I
black
think
people
in,
anything. No one owes white people anything. No one owes Asian people
I
anything.
think in general,
Everyone
yeah,
owes me
like
everything.
yeah, I
We
think
did not commit those actions.
I
Well,
think
yeah, okay, fine.
okay, I'll say
We've
this. Yeah, I'll
benefited
say
off
this.
them though.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
I'll
came
say
up.
this. I think I don't know what was such an unproblematic one. You know, the one we did
Yeah.
last time. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
to be honest, yeah, like I don't even know why that thing was even said, because to be honest, I would have just simply said, like, if the question was should all races be able to say it, I would have said hell no, 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 no.
Why?
No, no, no.
Why?
It just doesn't happen. Like, I just don't think it's right that, you know, obviously, especially because it's a slur. If it was, because I know that sometimes, yeah,
Why do
you
you
get
get to
a,
say it then?
hmm?
Why do you get to say it?
Because the word originated within us, black people. No,
No, it
I'm joking,
originates
I'm
from
joking.
white people. White people made it
No, no,
up.
no, as in, like, I know, but obviously, in terms of, like, because obviously, we're
Is it because
niggas.
you're black?
Because it's the idea of reclaiming it.
Because you're black, right?
Yeah, we black. No, I'm
Well,
joking.
what I'm
But,
saying is like that's a bit racist
hmm?
to me. To me, it's a bit racist. You get perks because you're a different race.
That's another issue I was going to bring up. Because
Yeah,
it
go on.
divides us more,
It
doesn't
divides
it?
us, yeah. It divides.
Same
Well,
with
you're
Paki
black.
as well. It
You get to
divides
do
us.
this, I guess. You know, you get to do this, and I don't because you're black.
No,
But
no,
that's
no,
not
no.
racist,
Listen, listen,
guys.
listen, listen. It's because the word just, you know, obviously, you know, the history context in it. But yeah, if you was to talk about anything else in terms of like, oh yeah, only black people should do this and that, there's actually an argument. If you do come towards it, like where, you know, sometimes there's times where black people have done this and it's fine, but then when other races does it and it's wrong. Yeah, if you do get to that part, if there's a separate argument that there's actually maybe some examples that I could kind of come up with in terms of that, because um yeah, like you said, like just now, yeah, there has been times where I think even like things happen when general is wrong, but then sometimes because of a certain race or because of who does it or who says it, it's fine. It's being perceived as, oh yeah, it's fine, it's okay, but then anyone else is an issue. But yeah,
Yeah,
but with that, yeah,
that sounds like racism to me.
Yeah.
you know. But me
It's
personally,
racism.
I just feel like, yeah, because because it was originated as a slur in general, I don't think it should be continued. Like the word should just be abandoned. No one should be saying it
So no one should say it.
because,
Same.
yeah.
No one should say it. All right,
But
That's
then
what
yeah,
I'm
I can
saying.
agree with
I know
that.
No
black
one should
people in
say it.
general. I know black people in general would be like, but then you know, but then because not casting out any other races, that's why
I
you should
think
say. But yeah, but
It's
yeah,
fine.
no
Like,
one.
the
I think
idea of reclaiming a word is stupid because it still has its bad meaning to it.
Ibrahim is a
That's the
little
problem.
bit correct in that we get a little bit of a power rush when we get to do things
A
because
little
of
bit.
our of a little, yeah, 100%. So black people definitely get, and I'm sure you can agree with this. And like, surely this is true. Black people do take pride in the fact that they're black and they can say the N word, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
Mhm.
Ibrahim knows, Indians, Pakistanis, whatever, take pride in the fact that we get to say the P word, right?
That's why it
Um,
exists,
Mhm.
in my opinion. But it's not
Yeah,
productive or
exactly.
healthy.
We get to say it because we're brown, and I'm sure Asians get their own. I'm sure like Chinese, Japanese, Koreans
Yeah,
get
yeah,
their
yeah.
own version, and it's because we're a bit tribalistic in how we like treat each other. We get to say, well, I get to say this because I'm part of this tribe, and you get to say this because you're part of this tribe, and
Yeah. But
eventually, ironically enough, we've tried integrating so much that we're starting to segregate again.
Segregate, yeah. That's
but
where my
actually,
issue lies.
can I say something? You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay. Obviously, okay, I want to say something, but I need to make sure that this is worded right and makes sense here. Now,
yeah.
when people say that only black people, um, yeah, if you say nigger, the N word, yeah. Now, here's the thing. You see, when sometimes people say they say like people my color, yeah. But but here's the thing. I know that there's been times when people not my color, he looks, he's not exactly my color. Like maybe many kids lighter than me have actually said it, or they say it's fine for them because they're part black. All of that. What do you guys think
Exactly.
Yeah.
of that? What do you guys think
That's
of
dumb
that?
too. That's dumb too, right?
I think there's arbitrary rules.
That's dumb too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In
But
the
because
same
they
way
want to be
that,
part of it, but you get it. They want to be
yeah.
part of it.
In the same way that, yeah, my blood is Pakistani. I was born from a Pakistani family. But realistically, I'm like 95% white. I'm 95% British. But because I have that blood that I didn't get to choose, arbitrarily I get to say this word. I just have this power now. It doesn't make sense. It's just irrelevant. That's
Well, I
why I
think
say like
people would argue that it's because you also suffer the the repercussions of being
exactly.
that,
And
right? So you
obviously
suffer
we're not
because
gonna
of
have
it,
enough time to get into systematic racism and things like that. But I think
right?
it's extremely unproductive to say, okay, look, here are the pros, right? We get a word that no one else gets to say. But the cons are
Mm-hmm.
now racists have something they can use against us. A, B, it's separating us more, and all of these different things. When the alternative was let it die, there's no need to, and reclaiming is dumb because the word is still offensive. So you haven't reclaimed shit. You've just brought it back into the daylight so that people are more aware of it, so that they
No,
can
but
use it more.
I would argue that happens more gradually than you think it does.
What reclaiming?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it happens gradually, but once it happens, it's unstoppable. Like the N-word is so ingrained in black culture that it's never gonna go away now.
Yeah,
It's
you're
not gonna
probably right.
evolve away. You were talking about evolution, that is not evolving away. It's just
Nah,
not gonna
it
happen.
will. It will eventually evolve away. I think it will eventually evolve away because, like I
If it
said,
does, it's
like
gonna be a long time.
the Roman civilization, for example. You know,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're talking really long time, but I mean, Romans didn't have the internet. Romans didn't have all these things. These words are so mainstream and everyone knows them. It's gonna exist. Like,
who
I don't
knows
see
what
it
will
going
happen?
away.
Who knows what will happen 1,000 years? Though we probably won't even exist as physical beings. We'll probably live in
Yeah,
the metaverse or something.
it probably won't
Um,
even be a race at that point.
yeah,
Yeah. So
uh,
yeah.
yeah. I think actually, fairly enough, we mostly agree. Actually,
Yeah, to
Yeah.
be honest, Sona, it's hard for me to picture exactly where you are in this issue because I feel like you take
uh,
history into account a lot more than I do, but at the same time, you understand the whole we shouldn't we keep ourselves closed off like we do at the same time.
exactly,
So, like, what's
exactly.
your final
I'm a
verdict on
moderate.
it?
I'm intelligent like that. I'm moderate.
Yeah, you're moderate. So, yeah,
Uh,
what's your final verdict on that?
uh. Basically, this is my final verdict. Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically, I agree that either everyone should be allowed to say a word or no one should say it, right?
yeah,
And that is because I believe in the principle of free speech. As long as it doesn't cause, as long as you're not inciting harm to another group of people or a person.
yeah,
Um, However, at the same time, I do accept some words are offensive and they're a slur because of their historical attachments, right? And with
yeah,
things like that, I know you say, Ibrahim, that we should live in the present and look to the future when it comes to those things. And stuff like that. I think that's too difficult for some people to let go of. So
Yeah, that's where
it
we
it needs to
disagree.
be a gradual. It needs to be a gradual, natural progression that happens by itself. We can't make any declarative statements about whether something should be offensive or not. It will shift like naturally, within everyone's mindset through the generations.
Yeah, it's just we can impact it if we choose to. That's why we should speak out on these things because we can
Well,
change it.
sure, yeah, you can impact it, but I don't think we'll change it. Like, you
Well,
know,
yeah, obviously there's certain people who are just going to be stuck to their opinion. But at
mm,
that point, why speak about anything, really?
mm, yeah.
All right,
All
well,
right, go
we're
ahead.
definitely going to have to do a part two. We're 100% going to have
Wait,
to do a part two
yeah, can I just round up
or
my
a part
my
three.
point?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Wait,
just
wait.
my point
So,
quickly.
can I just ask what we're gonna cover in part two? Probably police,
So we still haven't
police.
covered the police. We still haven't covered BLM. We haven't covered systematic racism. We haven't covered black racism versus white racism.
Yeah. So we got a lot to go through. Okay,
There's
fine.
a
All
lot
right,
to
Yeah.
cover, yeah.
all
So,
right,
EK,
cool.
you can make your point, and then we'll probably call it here, and then do this again next time.
Um. Yeah. So just to conclude, like with the slurs, so um. Yeah, if there was a question about should always say the N word, the answer would be a clear and direct no. No, 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 not all races, yeah. But yeah, with the whole thing about no one should be saying the N word, yeah, with the angle, because obviously it was a slur at the beginning. It was a slur. So of course it's like if it's a slur, if it's an insult towards black people, then yeah, no one should be saying it. No one should be saying a slur at all. You know what I mean? It's like, for example, if there was a slur to discriminate against like anyone in general, it's wrong. It shouldn't be said at all. It shouldn't. Even slurs in general shouldn't exist. So yeah, if there was an angle, it'd be more on that side of yeah, like the N word in general, nigger should not be exist.
Yeah. I do feel that, EK. I feel that idea of having a word that you just can't say is really bad. I feel like words should have an intention behind them. Like regular cuss words, like you can say them and it's not a big deal, but if you direct it at someone and you say in a negative way, then it can become a big deal. So it's a very much an intentional thing. But slurs, that doesn't apply. It's just even if you say it just regularly, or if, like, for example, you're singing along to a song and you say it there, it becomes a massive issue anyway, even if you don't have the intention. And that doesn't sit right with me at all, even though I know why it's the case.
Mm.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean that's the big deal, isn't it? Free speech, and obviously there's going to be conflicting opinions on history versus present, but making rules on the past just obviously it's inescapable that people are going to dig up the past, but as much as we can prevent it, we should try. And it's not too late for Pakistanis. We can still turn the word back into a short form for
No,
Pakistani.
man,
We can still do that.
it's not. No, no, I don't think there's enough of an Asian presence.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
even
it's
though
not
we've
as
been
ingrained
here,
in our culture though. That's the problem.
Asians and Indians. I'm not sure. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but Asians and Indians have been around in this country for a while, and there
Yeah.
hasn't really been a cultural revolution about how we need to treat Indians and Asians.
Yeah,
That
that's what I'm
hasn't really
saying. Like,
happened. It's been a lot of there have been a lot of black people. There are probably more Asians in this country than black people. I don't know.
oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but like there obviously was with BLM, for example, and we're very, very consciously aware of racism towards black people. But the Indians never really got that. We never really
Yeah,
got that at all.
it's
We
gonna
just
happen.
we stayed low, stayed quiet, did work, and that was it.
Yeah,
That was it,
it,
really.
it's definitely
Um,
gonna happen. I'm hearing rumblings of it. It's definitely gonna happen eventually.
what like
There's a
Brown
lot of
Lives Matter?
talk. Maybe, I mean, there's already a lot of talk about people saying that stereotypes of Indians are swept under the rug and things like that.
Oh
So there
yeah,
is
yeah,
definitely,
100%.
yeah, there's
100.
definitely
That's
outcry
true
brewing.
though.
It
That's
is true.
true.
Yeah,
That is true.
there's
Like it's
outcry
okay.
brewing.
It's never okay to be racist towards black people. But you can call an Indian a curry muncher, and it's not a big
Yeah,
deal. And that I think that's like there's probably two reasons for that. One, because some people are just they want to be edgy with their jokes, and we're all a
yeah,
little bit racist. And the second reason is because Indians and Asians never really said anything about it. so we never got
Yeah.
into this beef with white people, for example.
Yeah, though to be fair, even if like obviously we're going to talk about this next time, but I think that it's not just Asians. I think black people racism is taken more seriously than even white people, Asian people,
Yeah,
like
100%.
Chinese, Japanese, even everyone really. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not really an Asian thing. I think that's an everyone thing. But there's definitely going to
Yeah.
be a rumbling eventually. There's definitely going to be something like people are gonna, something's gonna, we're gonna have the Asian George Floyd. It's gonna happen, and then everything's gonna blow up. I'm certain of it.
Yeah, okay.
It's only a matter of time at this point. But I mean, hopefully when that happens, we can navigate the waters properly. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, dude, the last thing I wanted to just talk about, and I don't know if you guys will have anything for this, but do you think there's any major opinions on race that you've had that have changed since 2021 to now? Is there anything that you guys can think of that's really dramatically changed?
Probably about police.
Yeah. I'd say the same.
We'll mention that next episode.
Yeah, I think next episode there's a bit about police. Because actually,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
No, don't give it away. Don't give it away. We'll talk about it next episode.
we
But
won't give
Mhm.
away. I think
yeah, don't
next
give
is
it
going to
away.
be football, and then I guess we'll slot in racism part 2 again, or part 3, I guess.
No, I think we should. I think we should just do racism part 2 straight.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and football. The thing with football is that it's a weekly thing. Everyone's always changing, so we can't do one podcast rounding up everything. It's quite difficult to do that.
Yeah, I think we'll just have to debate the
Mhm.
main topics and things like that.
Well, if you want, yeah, but I think it's a bit
Just
too
like,
difficult. You got to, so that's why there are weekly football podcasts, that just dedicate to
yeah.
football. 'Cause it's always changing. So
We can't talk about like transfer windows and shit like that. That's not what we can talk about.
yeah,
But I'm
that's the
sure we can
problem.
touch upon like the main things because I'm sure it'll be relevant like later down the road anyway.
All right, then
But we'll
fine.
we'll just have to craft the list accordingly. Hopefully we can get some of the football people on there. If we can get
Mhm.
Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans, and like Spurs and like United. If we can get everyone on there, that'd be really cool.
Okay.
Mhm.
But I guess we'll see. All right, any final words you guys have?
No, bro.
Yeah, I'm just glad that we're all able to share our opinions and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's a good thing Richard wasn't here this time. You remember Richard last time? He was proper. He was on it,
Oh my gosh, Richard, man, if we get an hour and a half here, it would have been like 3 hours.
Richard, oh man, I miss him. I want to get him on here again. He was cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
my final thought will probably be I know we have a lot of communities, we have black communities and we have Asian communities, but I think people tend to forget that we are all just humans at the end of the day. And this is one of the first things you're taught in school, and so people forget it very often, but it is the inside that counts. And I feel like we forget that quite a lot, but it's important to remember that. Even with all these communities, we should still just be nice to each other, because that's who we are at the end of the day. That's all I have to say, really. Sona?
Nothing matters. We're all gonna die.
Perfect. Concise, easy, quick.
Mhm.
Right. You have
Yeah.
hang on, let me just get this new Discord setup is really annoying. I don't have to do anything. Let me just kick the bot out the call if I can do it. With this new season, I'm never messing this up.
Okay.
Alright. You've been watching Infallible. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Yeah.
That's not how you say bye. But EK, please say bye, please.
To say bye, yeah? We're wrapping up.
Say yeah, we're ending. Say bye, quick. Quick, say
Alright,
bye quick.
bye.
Quick,
Bye.
quick.